I think we have everybody back. We can continue on.
Well, I see Deb, on mine, it's like she's still connecting. Are you here, Deb?
Yep, you're right. It
Oh,
does.
No, that was Bobby talking there, Jay.
oh, okay,
Yeah, Deb
That
was
wasn't
having an
Deb.
issue the first time we connected, so.
okay. It looks like she's on now. All right, just so we move this on, should I guess the question here is we can leave the fee amount kind of blank. And if there's enough people that move this forward, want to move this forward to the board, we can let the board decide, one, if we should, and two, what the amount is, or are people thinking that's maybe just dropping the ball on our side?
I'm I'm not gonna speak to it because I think I don't really want the fee on this. So
I will speak to it.
Okay.
And it might sound a little bit like passing the buck, but I believe that as a committee, we should decide whether or not we think a fee is something that the board should consider.
Okay. You want to
But
make that?
I think the board votes on this
Okay.
because it's a change.
You want to make a motion then, John?
I will make a motion that, okay, and make sure I'm doing the motion correctly. I'm going to make a motion that the finance committee propose a $25 admin fee for sewer charge adjustments on excessive water use, to be voted on by the village board. How does that sound?
You don't have to do the village board thing. That's an automatic thing. So,
Okay.
yeah, we can't dictate what the board does. But
Okay, fair enough.
I think do I have a second to that motion? So basically the motion is to recommend a $25 administrative fee for sewer adjustments. I'll second it.
It doesn't
die if no one seconds it.
Yeah, I was waiting
I
to see
kept
it.
saying I would second it, but I didn't realize I was still muted.
All right.
Sorry.
That's all right. So we have a motion and a second.
Jay, you're the second then?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so then let's just all in favor. Oh wait, okay, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same.
nay.
Okay, you can, all right, very good. All right, so it will move to the board. All right, can you put back the agenda so I can
You bet.
I don't have my other computer up since I was running late. All right, the next one is, discussion regarding transportation utility. This was a mistake. This should have been put on last month because the month before we did this, the board was not interested in the wheel tax, but they wanted more information on the transportation utilities. And what they were looking for is if we could get some idea of what the cost would be for the consultant service. So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add, before we go a lot further into this conversation, the League of Wisconsin Municipalities put out something last month where there is a lawsuit that is being filed.
Nope, I got an update on that for you, John.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Here, you keep talking, I'll find it.
It's basically what it's saying is that this is unconstitutional in the state of Wisconsin because it's changing the levy without a referendum to the voters.
Oh,
That's absolutely what they did with the stormwater utilities, and the stormwater utilities have to go on levy now. It sounds like they're trying to do the same thing to this utility that they already did to
Yeah,
this.
it's probably the same group that filed.
Yeah. It's
You guys see
basically
the,
you're trying to get around your
Oh, yeah.
the
levy limit.
PowerPoint up on the screen now?
Yep.
Okay, so I was at a conference a few weeks ago and this was one of the topics. And so they said that, the Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce sued Village of Milwaukee, saying that their transportation is lawful. And actually that these three questions came up then that the county circuit court addressed, and they we don't need to go through all these, and I can send all you guys this presentation.
I would love to see it, please.
Yeah, it's
so
great.
would I.
And they actually, the city won. They came back and said that they had the authority to do it, and that it's not preempted by state law here.
But is it going to be appealed though?
And that, it's a fee and not a tax.
Appeals take years, so
I mean, this is it. Of course, it could go appeal. It could then go to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, then the United States Supreme Court. But it's at least it's a good thing that at least one court in Waukesha is a pretty conservative county, and that's why a lot of lawsuits that WMC does bring it to in Waukesha, because it's pretty pro-business and conservative. Well, that's good news. I still think since the board asked for it, obviously this is another factor that the board has to take into consideration. But Deb, do you think you could do that research?
Sure. I think all it will take is calling and asking. What was it, Ryan Heichel and
Yeah,
Mitchell?
so this one was done by R.A. Smith.
So yeah, if you send me this, and I will send out a email to all those places saying we're looking forward into it. And could you give me an idea of what the cost would be for a consultancy?
And so one thing I also learned that Sun Prairie is looking into this, and then Wauwatosa is gonna implement one next year. So
Sun Prairie definitely needs to address their infrastructure.
Well, that's good to know that there's more and more, and that actually it's a good thing that the lawsuit occurred. So there's at least that ruling, because I know that was always what was overhanging this a little bit, is that potential litigation in it. So
Yep. And then I also found out that we don't want to set it up as an enterprise fund, which is what the water and sewer utility are. They said do it as a special revenue fund. And then you just have it all go in and out. My camera's not on here.
A special revenue fund. So then does it have like its own checking account or bank account and all that?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It becomes a restricted fund, basically.
Yeah, so your revenues would come in there, and then you just transfer your money out to the capital fund to pay for things, or the debt service fund, or it's a zero-based budget. You got your expenses in and out.
Right. Now that's my question. Does this just go for capital and debt service, or can it be used for operating costs, like things that happen yearly to maintain roads?
No, it can be for operating. Yeah. There's just certain things like snow plowing that they don't recommend. And I forgot
street sweeping, maybe.
Yeah, there were a couple things that for some reason they didn't think were a good idea to put in, but yeah, it's certainly.
But it could be used for like the crack filling maintenance, that stuff.
Absolutely. That is totally what it is there for.
Okay. So then when you do that, you just pull that out of your general fund budget and it flies over there, and okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we need more. But it was good that the board at least has an interest in it, and we just need more information. So
right.
If we can do that, that would be fantastic.
I would be happy to reach out.
Okay. All right. Very good. I don't that wasn't an action, that was just a discussion,
Just-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that,
yep.
Okay, good.
Can I ask one question real quick since we're talking about this and it sort of relates to it?
Sure.
We've been discussing coming up against our levy limit. And I know other communities go against it and it goes to referendum. Are we just trying to avoid that so that we don't have to have a referendum concerning our levy? Is that the whole goal of it? Like I'm just wondering what the whole end goal is. Like,
Well,
is
uh,
that the whole idea?
no, I
Basically,
guess
that we don't have to ever have a referendum?
no, I mean, obviously, the levy limit is a concern, and this is something that may help a little bit, but to me, what it is I believe taxpayers feel comfortable paying in money if they know where it's going out. So if they're paying money in for this, they know it's going to build better roads or keep their roads up. And I think that, again, it goes back to user fees. I think that's exactly what we should be doing. And now there's a lot of property and a lot of roads that the property owners aren't kicking any money into, and we would be getting some funding from them. So I think it's a fairness to it.
the reason I'm into it is one, I know that the infrastructure in not only Wisconsin, Dane County, but our entire nation is getting pushed further and further down onto the individual, and yet all of our infrastructure is getting worse and worse. We're going to pay in to the infrastructure, at least we're paying so it directly goes to what it needs to, instead of how many times have you seen in the paper that they redirected the money for this road to this, that, and the other thing? This money goes to our roads and only our roads. So we can have nice roads for, the kids to ride bikes
Doing
on,
road
the
things.
ATVers.
Sure,
you know,
I understand that, but that's just a function of government deciding where they want to direct money to. I mean,
right. But
Right.
this is taking back, in my opinion, the power of the individual, that it shows me that this money that I am going to have to find a way to pay for is actually going to the thing it's supposed to,
And-
instead of everything else.
And I agree with you, Michael. It is a function of government to determine where they're going to spend the money. And that's what we're doing right now as part of the government. We're just also discussing where we're going to get the money.
right, I understand. It's all good.
All right. So Deb will take care of that, and we'll wait for the report back.
One final thought, I did get a timeline. They said from the time you hire a consultant to like the time the fee is actually implemented can be up to a year. You
Yeah.
know, we're a smaller community, so maybe less than that, but they said all
That
the
makes sense.
time you gotta take to generate the fee, and then a lot of the time too is like would be on my end to set it up in the software with all of our users, and so they said it can
Educating
take a
the
while.
public, and because, yeah.
And doing the research on, the businesses and how much they should be charged, there's a lot of kind of.
A year does
Yeah.
not sound that long if you think about it. I mean, if we were going to change the levy and a referendum, that would probably also take a year, if not longer, to accomplish well. So
That was actually one of the other topics at the conference was on referendums, so. That's another discussion though, we can move on.
That would be
Yeah.
interesting to hear what they talked about on the referendums at some point, Bobby.
I'll see if I have the slides for that one and send that out too.
But just so you know, in the budget for this year, some of the strings attached to the increase in funding, I think there's going to be rules to make it harder to go to referendum. That's kind of what I was reading at. They want to tie some strings to this increase, so there
Like-
isn't.
Like the stuff from the state funding, you mean?
Yeah,
The use of
they
that?
came out, yeah, it was in today's paper that for villages of 5,000 and under, or municipalities with 5,000 and under, they're increasing state funding by 82 million.
Right.
But it, you know, and again, the paper just covers the stuff, but they were talking about it's police, fire, uh, emergency management, public works, and transportation. And then it goes on to say if municipalities work together to provide services, they're going to be greatly rewarded. But on the other side, there's going to be a lot of strings where they want to, you know, a lot of it's for Milwaukee, but for others, they were looking at rules for referendums, and Milwaukee has to do all kinds of things like audits and making sure the money goes to certain pots. And
Hmm.
it like I say, it's I think there's going to be a lot to it. I don't know the details of it, but it certainly is good for us that hopefully we'll be having at least some increase in revenue. What the strings are, I don't know.
Actually, it sounds fair, at least from my perspective. If they say, okay, we'll give you this money, now you can't just go hit up your villagers for another chunk of change, because that feels like double dipping.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, I'm just saying that's what kind of was the flavor of the article that that was there in the paper.
I'm kind of doing in my head, how many communities are there under 5,000 here? I'm trying to divide 82 million really quick. And then,
Yeah,
I would guess a
don't.
lot if you think about up north.
yeah, it doesn't seem like it's that much money to me.
Well, it's not. I'm trying to think in that in the restraint program, wasn't there 79 million to be divided out to communities of our size? Bobby, do you remember what the pot was for that? And I shared it with everybody.
You shared it with us today, yeah.
Yeah, I just can't remember. It's something I know. And then there was still some talk about maybe getting 1% of sales tax revenue, you know, and if that's still alive and kicking, that for us, when calculated, is about a little over 100,000. If it was a 1%,
Every little bit helps.
yeah.
So in the
All right.
training I had yesterday, the Wisconsin Elections Commission lady said between counties, cities, villages, and towns, there's almost 2,000 clerks, like municipalities. And
Oh, wow.
That's a
Wisconsin
lot.
has one of the highest in the nation.
Wow.
We set up our structure.
I'm
Anyway,
always proud of our little village because we always vote way over state and national averages.
All right, let's move to number 4, discussion regarding financial indicators for the village hall / police station. That one is basically, I just updated from what we did, must have been 16 months ago. The only thing, the big change is that, if you remember, was that I did 40 years instead of 30 for principal and interest per year, because with the USDA money, we could go out to 40 years. So the numbers are there, and you can see it's substantial savings to, well, I don't want to say savings, but less yearly cost from 20 to 40. Everything else, I think pretty much stayed the same. I maybe added the 2021 new construction of 2.8.
The only problem I have with 40 years is unless it's built really well, we're going to need a new one before 40 years is up.
No, no, not in government. Buildings are buildings are I think it's hard to find someone that left a building in less than 40 years. I mean, it's a
we might need to paint and put in new flooring or something.
oh yeah. You gotta do
look at
updates.
Milwaukee City Hall sometime.
Yeah, I know. Well, look at the city county building.
Yeah.
for the county and the city. That was built in 1956. And the jail's still open. They're just now it's gonna close the upper floors of that jail. And it was a dump in the 80s when I was up there.
Hey, I work at Camp Randall. You want to talk old
What?
crappy building?
No, Camp Randall gets revenue from the football program, so they got lots of money.
They don't share.
Well,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm not worried about that, and I think it really, to me, the only
Okay.
reason to go out long is I think it's really for a fairness. I think people who move to this community should be helped pay for some of the infrastructure of the stuff that's here, so.
That's a
But
good way of
anyway,
looking at it.
What's
I've been
that?
a bad citizen and not reviewing those plans. I assume it has a ton of space for growth as our
We
little village goes.
We're not even there. We're not even there yet. We're still trying to set the finance part of this up.
Okay.
It's in the budget for next year for the architect. And that's where you would do the programming and everything like that. So
Okay.
we're still, well, less than a year away, but this here is just financial things to keep an eye on for our group.
Sounds good.
Yep, and when I talked to our engineer, cost per square foot, he gave me the 350 number. So
That doesn't sound strangely too bad.
No.
but here's kind of an interesting tidbit. I was talking with someone who is a developer, and he was telling me that the construction companies, while they're really busy for the next 12 months, they are booking very few jobs beyond that. So they're thinking that things are really slowing down, which would be very beneficial if we get lots of competition in the bidding process. So I don't know, knock on wood, I mean, good for us if you're going to build, bad if you're in the construction area. But, and the reason that came up is his argument was that it's almost impossible to develop because of the labor costs that are so high. And he thinks once that goes, labor costs will be coming down. I'm not so sure. There's not too often, I don't know too much about the private sector, but I've never seen salaries go down once people get it, but I could be dead wrong on that. So,
Well, yeah, the way to do it is just no longer employ the people with the high salaries and replace them with people with lower salaries.
Yeah, it's the trades are a different animal though.
are they?
Yeah,
They are, because
yeah.
you
The
don't know
trades are
most
gonna
highly
be
skilled people.
Yeah.
trades
anyways.
are gonna be the thing to watch out for the next few years, especially when Jerry retires, because there's not enough people going into the trades
Right.
to replace the people leaving the trades. And
That's the argument of why I don't think labor costs will go down.
Okay.
yeah,
That's just his opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, no, and that was my opinion, which is probably worth about 10 cents.
mine will go for 15 because I know 2 labor guys who are good at refrigeration and HVAC who are both getting jobs at $50 an hour starting soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I
Hey,
say,
John.
I'm just a sponge on all that. Just listen.
Yeah.
I don't really have an opinion. I just listen. All right. Any questions on this at all?
No, but I think we got our electrician for the village hall, John, right here.
Oh, no. I replaced light fixtures.
All right. Any questions at all on this? Otherwise, I'll just keep updating that when we need. All right. Number 5, discussion and possible action regarding green space mowing contract versus in-house mowing. And I think, Deb, you brought this up last meeting, and it just so happened that the bids that came up for mowing were substantially higher than what we were paying before. And I think we got 3 bids. They range from 4,100 per week to 6,800 per week. So when you
Damn.
do,
And
when
what
you
are we
do the-
paying now?
huh?
What were we paying?
We were paying
Around
around
1,800.
yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So when it was at 18, it probably didn't look financially beneficial for us to do it, but now that it's at 4,100, we have been tasked, because, and this is from Jerry, to actually look at what's the feasibility. Is it better now to go back to buying a couple mowers and doing it? Of course, there's the labor costs and all that we have to go into it.
How many weeks is that in a year are they cutting?
Well, I went from May 1st to end of October. Now, in the contract, because this is what I asked, in the contract, I could see maybe August, September going every other week, if, depending what the weather, but lately I don't think the last 2 years my grass has ever went dormant. I think because we've been getting rain all through summer, I think I was mowing all summer long.
Yeah,
So
that's what I noticed.
based on the quote of essentially 6 months and I'm going to go with the low one, the 4,300.
Yeah,
That's still-
4,100.
4,100?
Yep.
Okay. That's still $110,000 a year, just for that 6-month time frame. That's 110,000.
Oh.
I don't know what people cost, and I don't know what a mower would cost.
Less.
Well, a mower is going to easily be. I talked to some commercial guys out here. You're talking $15,000 to $20,000.
Okay.
Yeah, Bobby would probably even know better, but I see them out here, and I've asked them, and it's 15,000 to 20,000 for the mower.
Okay.
And then there's obviously the fuel that you still have to pay,
Yeah.
and like
Maybe a little trailer or something.
Yep, the trailer. I mean, we'll have to kind of figure it out, but
Yeah.
it's at the level now that I think we need to at least look at. I'm not sure it's an automatically the right to, I wouldn't automatically say it's time to go, but it's something we should kind of do the numbers and see.
I mean, a quick call to Claushers to see what it would all price out to be. Just
Yeah. I mean, the mower is going to be a multi-year
Right.
thing. The trailer is a multi-year thing.
Which
you
can
could
also
just
be
say
used
it's going to
for
last
other
5
things.
years. That's and it should last longer than that, I would hope. So it's going to come down to internal labor and benefits.
Well,
Yeah.
the question, but even that is not so simple. Do you hire a full-time person, even though you need them for just 6 months for mowing, or do you go
No.
seasonal and hire LTEs or part-time for the May through? I don't know.
I mean, if you think of, I always drove through Wanakee on my way to work.
Yeah.
And I noticed in the summer, they always had college kids doing stuff on Main Street.
Yeah.
College kids are only available
I know.
June to August.
Yeah. I mean, they leave, they go back to college. I don't understand it.
Some of them.
But, I don't know what seasonal hiring is like. I really don't.
I just think those are what I'd like to do is just kind of pull a report together with options. Not that we're going to recommend anything, but
Yeah.
I think we need obviously Jerry's input so we can line up a bunch of questions for him, because he would know how many mowers, what size, blah, blah, blah. And then we could look at the options of, you know, a full-time, and I'm just not sure exactly how that would work, but, you know,
They'd have to have something else to do.
yeah, like I say, we gotta talk this through, but I think it's at the level we should. I
Yeah.
guess that's what I'm saying.
I would agree with that.
So what is the next step on this then?
Ask Jerry what his minimums would be in his opinion, and then
Okay,
just get a rough quote, you know, from Claushers or someone else to
Yeah.
see what the beginning is. Not that it's a promise to Claushers, but just
Yeah, what are the equipment needs if we did it?
okay.
What do we think the fuel and maintenance on a piece of equipment would be in a given year? I think Jerry's the guy to answer the next question, which is it a full-time employee or is it a seasonal employee? And then what would the pay be? And it could be pay and benefits or just pay for a seasonal.
I could put together some options on the payroll side. I don't, you know, that
Okay.
way we're not bugging Jerry with too many questions.
yeah.
Right, right.
I mean, one thing would be cool if we could get somebody from Madison College, especially if they're in, you know, the trades programs, to show them what a lovely little town we have and hope they come work for us in other ways.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's a number of steps down the road right now. All right, I will, if Bobby, if you can do the employee, can you do both seasonal and full-time?
Yep.
Okay, I will.
Is there is there a difference between LTE and seasonal math-wise? I mean,
No,
someplace, okay.
I always thought it was exactly the same thing.
Yeah, the only difference is LTE doesn't, you know, seasonal to me means you're hiring them for either summer, fall, winter, whatever. It's a smaller window. LTE is just basically part-time help.
Okay.
That's kind of how I looked at it. I will send, I'll send Jerry just asking him what the equipment needs are. Because the fuel costs I can calculate myself, because when you ask for the equipment, they usually give you, you know, what the fuel rate is. Because I don't want to bug him too much. But I'll see if he knows mowers, how much maintenance is involved in mowers. You know, there's obviously the oil change and sharpening the blades and stuff like that. I just don't know if there's a lot more on those commercials. I wouldn't think. I mean, I got a rider and that's pretty much what I do. And when the battery goes bad, you got to replace the battery and the spark plugs every once in a while, but you can look at that on the manual.
Yeah.
I'll check with him. All right. So we can bring this back. I mean, it won't be a full report, but we can at least bring back some of the information. Is that good for everybody?
Yep.
All right, then future agenda items. Anybody got anything that is burning on their list? All right. Again, I'm gonna apologize for being late. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So motioned.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep,
Bye.
have a
Good
good
night,
weekend.
everybody.